Hello ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Jim Makes Cartoon. I'm Jim and I'm making a cartoon. This week I'm working on the human character designs for Dictator Cat. Speaking of which, episode 3 is on track to be out next Friday, so be sure to come back then to check it out. Much like the human characters in Welcome to Boulder Dash, I started out creating a template character and then added additional features to it. This way, besides having the husband and wife characters, if I wanted to add more characters, such as a neighbor or a mailman or something, I could easily enough add layers to the templates to create those characters. I gotta be honest, I feel kind of bad about releasing the next episode of Dictator Cat this late in the month. My goal is usually to have it out by the second Friday, but sometimes it just doesn't work out, especially this time of year, now that we're starting to kick off summer. At least in the South, we're kicking off summer. I know elsewhere it's not quite that hot yet. Now, why do I say that? For most people, summertime is supposed to be a relaxing time of year, but not for me and my family. For me and my family, it's like a gauntlet. It's like a second holiday season. So you know how it feels like from September to December, you're hit with an onslaught of events, you know, school starting, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, not to mention the slew of birthdays that seem to take place in September every year. Well, for me, that's what summer is like. So we kick it off with Mother's Day, followed very shortly by my anniversary. About 2 weeks later is my mom's birthday. A little bit over a week after that is my birthday. A little over a week later is Father's Day. A couple of weeks later you got Independence Day. Then a little over a week after that we end things with my dad's birthday. You know what? I like all those days. I like celebrating with my family, but suffice to say, summer is busy for my household. Maybe I'm just making excuses. Maybe I ought to start taking some vacation time this time of year so I have more time to make cartoons. You know what, that's probably a good idea. Maybe I should do that. Maybe around early May I should just start taking a vacation so I can get ahead on all my projects. I don't know, am I just bad at time management? I mean, do you have any ideas on how you manage your time? Because believe me, I'm all ears. I am sick of falling behind on things. Next up, I want to talk a little bit about some news that I'm a bit late to the table on, since being late is apparently a recurring theme here. On April 28th, YouTube announced that they're finally doing something about the horrible implementation of Content ID. If you want to read the whole article, you can check it out at youtubecreator.blogspot.com. But in a nutshell, earlier this year, there was a big to-do about how YouTube handles copyright claims using their Content ID service. If you don't know what Content ID is, it is an automated system that creators can use to protect their intellectual property. To give an example of how this might work, a couple years ago, the Halloween episode of Welcome to Boulder Dash called Pumpkin's Nightmare got re-uploaded to a couple of other channels without permission. I went ahead and submitted a copyright claim on each of those videos and got them taken down. Now, the only reason I knew these re-uploads existed was because of, honestly, a vanity search. I wanted to see how well that video ranked when I entered certain search terms. Now, with Content ID, I could have submitted that video to YouTube's system, and then their software would have automatically searched the whole of YouTube to see if anybody else had re-uploaded that video or clips of it, or audio, or any number of assets. I'd then be given the choice to either have those videos removed, have monetization turned off, or instead have any revenue generated by those videos delivered to me instead. Sounds good in theory, right? The problem is, a lot of media companies are a bit overzealous as to what they believe is misuse of their property. So let's suppose somebody used the footage from Pumpkin's Nightmare as part of a review or commentary show. As long as they didn't simply release the video uncut wholesale, that person would have the right to use that footage under the laws of fair use. What happened was there were a lot of people who were using content under fair use who were getting their monetization cut off or their videos taken down. In fact, this actually happened to me once. I released a blog a few years ago that used a GarageBand loop. GarageBand loops are royalty free. Apple's terms and conditions say that anybody can use them for any purpose, even selling them. However, this helps me segue into the other problem with Content ID, and that is Content ID trolls. That is people who claim royalty free or non-copyrighted content as their own. own. And that's what happened to this video. Somebody claimed the GarageBand loop as their own. Now, Content ID, of course, is an automated piece of software, so it didn't necessarily understand that nobody can lay claim to this music other than Apple, and their terms and conditions clearly state that anybody can use it. So monetization for that video was cut off. I disputed that claim, and it literally took years for monetization to be turned back on. Now, at least I'm not like some of these other creators who actually rely on YouTube ads to make their living, and they weren't making any money because of incorrect or outright falsified Content ID copyright claims. YouTube is attempting to fix this problem by allowing the claimant and the defendant, so to speak, to continue to earn revenue off of a disputed video while it's under its review process. Once the dispute is resolved, payment will be made to whatever party is in the right. While this is an improvement, if a Content ID claim was made against somebody, they would never get that lost revenue back. It still could use a little bit of improvement, because bear in mind, let's say a Content ID dispute lasts for a few months, which could very well happen if you don't have something like 1 million subscribers or aren't really generating a lot of money for Google. Then you're still losing out on that revenue, at least until the dispute is settled. In that time, bills come up, there are all sorts of things that you'll need that money for, but I like that it's taking a step in the right direction. With that said, I thought it was kinda snarky the way the YouTube creator blog ended that blog post. It felt kind of passive aggressive, because what they said here was, and I quote, "Even though Content ID claims are disputed less than 1% of the time, we agree this process could be better." To me, that really felt like Google staff saying, hey, come on, you guys are whining about something that really isn't that big of a deal. Like, you clearly don't care about it that much, otherwise you'd be disputing these claims a bit more. But let's be real, YouTube doesn't always make it easy to dispute claims. I mean, once you've really gotten a chance to navigate the YouTube interface, yeah, it comes a bit easier, but to the everyday user, it's probably not going to be obvious. And when you hear stories like mine, where it literally takes years to have anybody do anything about copyright disputes, you gotta imagine there are a lot of people who just don't even try. Before I close out, one more thing I do like is that they claim they've built a team specifically to monitor Content ID, which is something that a lot of people have complained about, that there was never a live person to speak to or contact whenever there was some kind of dispute, that Google relied too much on its automated systems. So I think that is another step in the right direction. So what do you think about YouTube's new proposed solutions to the problems with Content ID? Tell me about it in the comment section, and like always, your comment might end up in the next blog. That's it for now. Thank you so much again for watching. As always, please remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And once again, I'll remind you to do like your mom told you and share, share, share. Tune in for the next episode of Dictator Cat next Friday, and I'll see you again for another blog the week after that.